off this tutorial based around the idea of supporting your students in a BYOD lesson. I'm going to talk to you really about what it is I think you should be aiming for in this area. I want to start this tutorial by talking about what you can't do. Okay, so you have a BYOD classroom set up, you've got students in there. What can't you do? You can't firefight. You can't be a firefighter in your lessons, because even if you do have the skills to do that, you know, you're a teacher who knows a good range of devices and knows how to use them. If that is what the role that you take on, your teaching will suffer, and therefore the learning of your students will suffer. So really that's a sort of vital starting point. And if you're somebody who's rolling out a BYOD program, this needs to be part of what you tell your staff straight away. Partly because it will relieve them. It will be a huge relief to know that the expectation isn't that they suddenly go from zero to hero to expert on a whole range of devices, because that is unrealistic, unnecessary, and just not fair, really, as an expectation. So what is it that we should do instead? Well, I've put here aim small but be prepared. What I mean by that, when I say aim small, is that this idea that once you've rolled out a BYOD program, that is the point at which the support you are giving your students needs to be minimal. You know, it's important that they understand devices are their responsibility. Okay, before you roll out a BYOD program, you should have had some sort of digital literacy training with them. Okay, and as a BYOD program, you're asking them to use devices that they should be at least a little bit familiar with. This is a crucial part of BYOD. Your tech guys are not going to want to take responsibility for 20, 30 different types of device, because they're just not going to have the expertise or the time to deal with that. They need to be dealing with bigger issues, bigger problems, bigger long-term planning and strategy. The device has to be the responsibility of your student. Okay, your responsibility as the teacher is to learning. Okay, you are responsible for learning. That is it. That is your responsibility as a classroom teacher. You need to teach. You need to give good learning, good content. What you need on top of that is to have a backup plan, as you would in any classroom situation, I guess. That, you know, you might want to use YouTube one day and find the internet's down. You need to have a backup plan for that. This is a slightly bigger scale. You need to be prepared. The student may not have their device with them, it may be broken, it may be they can't get it to do what it is you want them to do. So yeah, you need to be prepared, which is where this comes in. Okay, you're aiming for minimal input. It's their responsibility. There are always going to be scenarios that crop up that mean that this just simply isn't possible. So you need to be prepared. You need to have in place a system where loan devices can be made available, or that there is a paper and pen alternative. Whatever it is that your solution is, doesn't matter. There's no right or wrong answer with that, but it is the case that, you know, you are responsible for learning. If the learning can't happen without a mobile device, then you need to be able to supply one should someone not be able to have one or not be able to access it in that moment, or you need to have an alternative path for that learning at any given moment. and that is absolutely crucial. What BYOD can't be is divisive. It can't be the case that those that are good with their device get the good learning, those that don't have a device that day or their device breaks don't get to learn that day. That's simply not fair, that's inappropriate, that is not what school is about. So it is important that there is a plan in place that supports learners irrespective of their situation at any given moment. Teachers worry about BYOD because there's always this question, what if it goes wrong? This is what people worry, this is what teachers worry about. They worry about making a mistake, they worry about trying something out and it going wrong. My suggestion is, if you, or you're going to prepare your staff, you talk to them and say, we want you to try challenging things, we want you to try something that's complex, that challenges you, that takes you to the next level of your journey with learning and teaching with technology. But if that's happening, then maybe we can support you or think of strategies on how to do this. So let's just call this strategies for complex learning. And I think really that there are two things that you can proactively do. One is supply a technician. So if a teacher comes to you and says, I really want to try this thing where the kids try and stream video to another school across the state or in another country, but I'm not sure that if anything goes wrong I could cope with that. Can you send one of your tech team down to support me in that lesson? And the answer should be absolutely yes. That is exactly the sort of thing that technicians in schools should be doing. They should be helping support and aiding the learning in your school. So that is one really sort of obvious thing that from a management perspective, managing a BYOD program, this is something really proactive that you can do. And the other thing is you can offer test classes. So it might be that a teacher comes to you again and says, this is what I want to do, it's complicated, I don't quite understand how to do it, can I try it out before I do it for real? And this is something that again we should be able to facilitate, whether it's that a group of teachers get together and try out lessons on each other, or you can offer up again your technicians or your support staff to be sort of the dummies for a test lesson. Whatever it is that you can do to support teachers that want to try and challenge themselves will make your BYOD program better. Okay, and it will mean that the level of support for your teachers is better, and that means that the teacher will feel more able to support their students in turn. Okay, and that's absolutely crucial. Really, there's just sort of one final thing, one final point to make about this idea of supporting your students in a BYOD lesson, and that really is quite obvious. The support that you give a student should be the same with or without technology. Because if it isn't, if it is the case that you're using technology in the classroom, but you need tenfold the resources that you needed before you did it, then clearly something's gone wrong. Clearly the training hasn't been there. Clearly your staff are not prepared for the BYOD environment. Your students deserve support, of course they do. Students need support, that is fundamentally what teachers do, they offer support. If that support needs to be amplified because you're trying something new in the short term, that absolutely makes sense. There's always a period of adjustment where everybody is learning. But if you find 3, 6, 9, 12 months into a program that you are supporting teachers and students are requiring support in ways that they never needed it before in the long term, then you need to reassess whether your BYOD program is being rolled out effectively. Because with good training initially, these things can be avoided. With training for staff and for students in the lead into a BYOD environment should mean that the support needed once the program is rolled out is minimal. Yeah? Aim small but be prepared. That is the message of this tutorial. Okay, so I hope that was useful and that helps helps you gain some perspective on how you can support your students. Thanks very much.